In this video tutorial, we'll talk about installing our Signage player onto Ubuntu. Ubuntu is a version of Linux. It's a freely distributed operating system, and a lot of people actually can take advantage of this only because it can save you the license fees that are associated with purchasing the operating system. If you want to download the Ubuntu, we actually have a mirror site for the ISO. This is the path right here where you can download Ubuntu for free. As of this recording, we are supporting Ubuntu 9.04. There's actually a 9.10 that's coming out, and I'm sure as time passes there'll be other distributions, but again, as far as this recording, we're gonna talk about the Ubuntu 9.04 platform. Now, Linux and Ubuntu historically is a more advanced operating system, or not as user-friendly as Windows. So if you're not very technical, you might want to opt to go with Windows, but if you are technical, Linux is actually a great solution. So with that, we have this clean installation of Ubuntu right here. So the first thing is prompting us for the username. So we'll go ahead and type in the username, which in this case we've created a user doing the installation, which is user. And the password is, again, for the sake of this demonstration, is password. And we press enter, and we're prompted with Ubuntu 9.04. The first thing that opens up is actually the menuing system on top, and with this we can continue with the installation. So the first thing you want to do is you want to install the Adobe Air runtime. So we'll go ahead and open Firefox, and when Firefox opens, we'll go ahead and search for, here under Google, we'll search for Adobe Air runtime, and Adobe Air runtime is presented to us. Go ahead and click on that. Click on download. You can see it already recognizes my operating system as Linux. Click on download now, and it's asking me to save. I'll just pick the default directory, which is the desktop. Click OK, and it has finished downloading. Go ahead and close these windows since we don't no longer need them. And we have this Adobe Air installer. Now we actually have to make this an executable. So if we just right click and click open, it doesn't know what to do with it. So we'll go ahead and open a terminal. Under application terminal, we'll go ahead and cd to the desktop directory and do a change mod 777 on Adobe Air, making this an executable file now. And you see now it's green, so we can go ahead and run it. Now the installation is starting. Agree to the license terms. It's prompting us for the password, so we'll go ahead and type in the password, which again in this case is password. And it's installing Adobe Air runtime. So now the installation has finished, so we'll go ahead and click on finish. And the next thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and download the Air player, the Signage player software. So we'll just click on the direct link, type in the direct link. You can type it in through your browser. So I'll go ahead and copy this address right here, and go ahead and open Firefox one more time. And paste in the address. Close this. Paste in the address of where we want to download the Air player from. So again, paste in this address right here and click OK or enter. And again, save this Air installation to the desktop. Okay, so the download has completed. Go ahead and close all the Firefox windows. And again, now we see on our desktop we have the Air player installation. Go ahead and double click on that. And right now it's going through the installation of the Air player. Click on install. Choose the default directory. That's very important. So just leave it at opt. Click on continue. And you see that now we have the icon, and the installation has completed. So we've just completed installing both the Air Adobe Air runtime as well as the Signage player. Okay, now that it finished installing, go ahead and change directory to opt Signage player share Linux. So we're changing directory to this particular path, and do ls for the directory, and we see that we have this file right here called install.sh. Now this is an executable file, but it's not marked as executable, so let's go ahead and change that. Go change mod. Well, actually we have to do this command as root, so sudo, which will run the command as root. So we have root permission to run this command. Change mod 777 and install.sh. Go ahead and press enter. It's asking us for the root password. Go ahead and type in password, and if we do ls one more time, we see that now the install.sh is green, so now it's marked as an executable file. The next thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and run this executable, and again it's really important that you run this as root, so you have to go sudo again to run it as root, and then // for current directory install.sh. We'll go ahead and press enter, and the first thing it's asking us, do you want the script is asking us if it's okay to remove the password prompting. And that's very important, because if you don't remove the password prompting, every time the Signage player will run and every time it wants to execute a command, it'll ask for a password, and you're not going to be there to provide that, so the Signage player is simply not going to run. So that's really important. So go ahead and press enter to select the default yes. The next question, go ahead and minimize this. The next question it's asking us is what username is automatically used to log into this computer. Whatever username you picked for whenever you did the installation. In our case, the default username that we picked is user, so go ahead and provide the username user, and you want to provide whatever username that you've picked during the installation again. So press enter. Next it's asking us, would you like to auto start a Signage player upon boot up? Well, yes, we want the player to automatically start every time we boot up this machine, so select by default yes. And would you like to remove the genome panel? The genome panel is this panel right here that you see, and obviously we don't want to see that when we run our Signage presentation, so we'll go ahead and select the default yes. And would you like to reboot this PC so you can test the changes? I'm gonna actually go and say no to this right now, because I don't want to reboot just yet. So at this point the application did everything we asked it to. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to set it so this Ubuntu machine automatically logs in. It doesn't prompt us for the username and password. So let's go ahead and do this. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on system and then administration and then login window right here. And this window allows us to set it so the system automatically logs in. It doesn't prompt us for a username every time we reboot this PC. And again, this is very, very important for a Signage player. So go to security and click on enable automatic login, and on the drop down you should see the user that you've created, and again in our case the username is user. And that's all that we can also allow local system administration. You don't have to do this, but just makes things a little bit easier later. So go ahead and enable the user and enable automatic login. We'll go ahead and close this to save our configuration. And at this point we can go ahead and reboot the machine. So we'll just click on this icon right here on the corner and go restart and go restart. Okay, so now my Ubuntu machine is loading up. We're actually using VMware, which is an application that allows you to run Linux inside Windows. But again, this is just for demonstration purposes. In your case, you're going to run Ubuntu on a dedicated machine. So now you see that Ubuntu is loading up, and you'll see in a second that it's not going to prompt me for a username and password. It's just going to go in automatically, and as you can see, the Signage controller is already kicking off because we've selected to auto install the Signage controller, and it's asking me to well, it's waiting for the Signage player to open up, and now it's asking me to agree to the license. And again, this is just a one-time thing, so we'll go ahead and click on I agree. And at this point the Signage player is asking me to register, so we'll go ahead and register with our username and password. Click on next. loading all the modules. Click on register. See that the Signage controller is connected. We're connected to the internet, so everything is green, everything is good. Click on start, play, and the Signage presentation is running flawlessly. And at this point we're done. We're done with the installation of Ubuntu. Everything is running perfect. Our presentation is running. It's actually caching down the resources right now. So let's go ahead and stop this. So this pretty much wraps up the basic installation of Ubuntu. Now we're going to cover a few more things, a little bit more advanced features. For one thing, you see that right now we don't have the genome task manager anymore, so that's pretty hard to work with. So how do you restore it back? So first I'll go ahead and right click on the screen and go create launcher and type over here type xterm and xterm and click OK. So now at least we have this X terminal we can work with. So double click on that. So what happened to our genome panel? Well, if you cd to user bin to ls on the genome panel, you see that the genome panel was renamed by our installation software to genome panel.old. So in order for you to bring it back, all you have to do is do move genome panel.old to genome panel. There you go. Well, we have to be sudo for that. So again, do sudo. Again, we have to be root to do this command. So sudo allows us to do this, and we went ahead and renamed it. Now let's go ahead and run the genome panel. And now the genome panel is running, so we can have a little more control. You can see it back on top. Again, you can just rename it again if you don't want to have this genome panel running. So again, I wanted to mention that at this point you're done. You can use our Ubuntu solution as is. We'll talk about some more advanced features now. So if you're not a heavy user of Linux or Ubuntu, you can probably just stop watching this tutorial. But if you really want to understand everything, you should continue and watch the rest of the tutorial. So in order for us to run the Signage player on this Ubuntu box, our Signage player has to run as root. It cannot run as a standard user. So let's look at a couple of things real quick that actually were modified during the installation. So the first thing we're going to look at is the etc sudoers directory. So if we actually again, gotta be sudo to do this, sudo vi etc sudoers, and go all the way down, you see that an entry was added here. So we will never be prompted for the password for the root or the user, or whatever user that you guys use to log into the system. So that's really important. What I'm going to do here is also review another section, is that if you cd to opt Signage player share Linux and do ls, you see that there's multiple files here, and you should never really run the Signage player directly or the Signage controller directly. You should always use this script file called signagecontroller.sh to run the Signage player, because in this script file we actually take care of everything that needs to be set up in the environment, including changing permission to root, changing permission of the executable files. So all the magic is done within this file. So anytime you want to run the Signage player, don't run the Signage player directly from this icon on the desktop, and don't run the Signage controller, which is this file. Do not run that directly. Always run this executable right here, the signagecontroller.sh. This is the way that you should be starting the execution of the Signage player. So that's the file that you mostly want to interact with and execute. So that's really important. The next thing that I'm going to review is how did the Signage player automatically start. Well, again, our scripting, our install script, which we ran earlier, install.sh, took care of it. But how did it actually do it? Well, if you cd to your home directory and go to to the config directory, and you'll see there's a directory called auto start. And in the auto start, we added this genome, or rather Signage player.desktop. So this causes the Signage player to automatically start. And if you want to see this via graphical user interface, you can go to System Preferences, Startup Applications, and you will see, if you scroll down, you will see the Signage player, Signage startup entry right here. So this is what's causing the Signage player to automatically start when the Ubuntu kicks on. So this was done for us with the installation script that we ran earlier. But I'm just giving you a little bit more information so you can understand it. And guess what? If you edit it, well, guess what it's running? It's running the same script that I just I mentioned, or actually, I'm sorry, it's running this genome startup.sh file. And if we look at this genome startup.sh file, go ahead and close this. In our home directory, it basically runs the Signage controller.sh, the file that I just mentioned to you earlier. So in our startup, it points to this Signage controller.sh, which is the proper way that you should be executing the Signage player. Again, because it takes care of running the Signage player as root, and that's very important. If you run the Signage player not as root but as a standard user, you're gonna get some pretty weird behavior. So that's definitely not what you want to do. And just to wrap up this tutorial, let's say that we want to go ahead and run the Signage controller manually, not through the startup. So let's go ahead and close the Signage player, and let's go ahead and terminate the Signage controller. I'm just pressing Control C, pressing it a few times. That terminates the Signage controller. So now I have neither the Signage controller nor the Signage player running. I'll go ahead and change directory to opt Signage player share Linux, and again emphasizing that I'm running now the Signage controller.sh file. That's the proper way of running the Signage player. Go ahead and press enter. It's basically giving me a whole bunch of information now. Let's go ahead and make a little bit more room here. It's waiting 2 seconds, and it's starting my Signage player client. So again, excuse me, this is the proper way of running the Signage player. It's loading all the modules, and it's running the Signage presentation now, as we've instructed it. So go ahead and press on the Signage player and press escape and press stop, and that wraps up our Ubuntu installation and configuration tutorial. We also have an advanced Linux tutorial on running external applications. Again, that's a very advanced feature. Most users do not need external application, but if you want to, you can check out that tutorial as well. Thank you.